Hi, hello, and howdy. I'm Ara, and today my voice is a little fucked up, but I'm going to try to run this by real quick. We're going to talk about Majora's Mask, one of my all-time favorite Zelda, if not all-time favorite games. Um, it is the sequel to Ocarina of Time. Originally, they were going to make a sequel, like a harder version of Ocarina of Time for the 64 DD, and the team wasn't really feeling it, and they were challenged to create a different Zelda game within a year, basically reusing the same assets, but they were allowed to have a little more liberty with the story and what they were doing with it. Which is why you'll see a lot of the same characters from Ocarina of Time or some, enemies and assets and stuff like that. Um, Needless to say, it came out in 15 months. Never made it to the 64 DD, which was Japanese exclusive. That console flopped. It didn't do well, so they never took it out. And Majora's Mask eventually came out on the 64, just regular. This came out in October 2000 for in the States. It does require an expansion pack for the Nintendo 64 to be able to play. It's one of two games, the other being Donkey Kong 64. So this has an extra 4 megabytes of RAM. That's right, megabytes. So not much into modern standards, but a lot back then. It does run. It is said to run a little better and have a little. It's an upgrade to Ocarina of Time. You won't see it heavily. I feel now, but it's there. Um, anyway, yeah. So it's a much darker, heavier themed game. It definitely touches on heavier topics and deaths and just it's a darker Zelda, which is really nice though, because it's a little more real. It gets you in the feels a bit more. It got a lot of remakes throughout the years. Obviously, it's been on some virtual consoles, but there's also featured as an emulated port on this disc for the GameCube, which had some slight differences, but basically the same game. And then, of course, it had a remake for the 3DS, which was an actual, like, kind of an overhaul. Um, I like it. I don't have any complaints. I think they did change more on this one. So I would say it's not the exact same game. Kind of like the GameCube one was more of a direct port. But I guess last fact on this one is so the most common version of this cartridge will say collector's edition and have a lenticular lens that kind of moves when you like tilt the game. That's actually the most common version. The true collector's edition would be this one, um, which is the non-lenticular, just straight label. The rare one is, I believe there's a gray cart, which is like the rarest. That might be a not for resale. I'm not entirely sure. That's definitely on the higher end of stuff if you're into collecting. But yeah, that's just some fun facts and a little overview of Majora's Mask. So have a nice day, have a bad day, do whatever you want. Later.